It's official. It's been announced. If you don't eat carbs, you're gonna fucking die. I'm sorry. I've been wrong this entire 4 fucking years. First of all, I want to preface this with you don't need to eat carbs at all. I've been relatively ketogenic for the past 4 years. My blood markers are great. I don't have any kidney issues. My liver has actually healed since the beginning of this. So when I wanted to respond to this vegetable police video, but first, this video here. But first, I want to let you know of some things, some updates with ScottTheTruckDriver.com, some things I'm doing, and some experiments I'm running currently with content and diversification, because as we all know, YouTube's been getting fucked pretty hard lately, and I like knowing that I can publish my shit elsewhere. So if you've subscribed to my email list, hello, Dubinsky. And hello, Cord Funk, if you're still here. If you subscribe to my email list, which you can do on my website, at the bottom of a lot of the pages on there, you'll find this: subscribe to ScottTheTruckDriver.com. It's entirely free. On the first email blast that you receive from me, you'll get the password, which will bring you into this page, which has a bunch of content for free that you can either download or now watch embedded. So I finally figured out BitChute, how to upload a long ass fucking stream. And since DLive shortened the replay times to 3 days, once it drops off of DLive, I will post a replay here in the subscriber lounge, or you can subscribe to BitChute, whichever is more convenient for you. I would prefer it if you went to the website because, I get a little bit of ad revenue when you do that. Not much. It's like pennies, but still, every penny counts. And, you just can come in and play.
Wow, they're such twats on there.
And it's not the best video quality, but you can listen to this while you're on the go or something and consume the podcasts that way. So that option is now available on ScottTheTruckDriver.com. I also want to mention that I'm also streaming on or not streaming, but well, you can't stream on TikTok yet unless you have 1,000 followers. But and they take 50%, so I don't know that I would want to stream on there. But I'm on, if it exposes, it's shitty camera, but I am on TikTok now, and I'm doing content on there. I'm making videos, and the reason, I understand it's a mainstream thing, it's not going to be 100% keto. It's going to be whatever the fuck I feel like doing, because it's kind of a for fun thing for me. So if you're interested to see what kind of videos I'm putting on TikTok, basically it's an app that's kind of like, I don't know, Instagram meets Snapchat, only it's permanent, and you just flick through and you can make videos up to a minute on there. And I don't know, I've seen a lot of good content. Like, if you're one of those, hey, make shorter video motherfuckers, that'll be a place where you can catch some shorter videos. And I'm kind of using it as another platform to kind of get some exposure that's been taken away by YouTube, by Facebook and all of that, because as far as I can tell, the exposure on TikTok is it's like the old days. You could hashtag some shit, and I shit you not, I've got a video on there that's already close to 500 views, and I just started. Like, I don't have a following there yet. I got like 7 followers now, and so I'm looking at it as a platform that I can be myself, be creative, do whatever the fuck I want to do on it. And it's kind of easy to do because it's all, you can do it all from your phone if you want. I sometimes go above and beyond because that's how I roll. But, you know, it allows me to get my content and my website out there in a way that I would have to pay for advertising and do other things on other platforms. So that's why I'm over there. Don't know if I'll get banned from there because I still say fuck a lot. I do all the normal shit. I can do karaoke on there. That's a bonus. If it's only 1 minute, so you don't get the whole song. So that is entirely how to find me on there. Cord Funk, yo Scott, do you have an email I can reach you on? Yeah, you can just go to my website and go to contact me if you look. And I do get these emails directly. So if you come in here and you fill this out, put your email address, put your subject and your message, I can, of course, reply to those if I feel they need a reply. I get a lot of emails, so I can't necessarily reply to everything, but I do see them all. So this actually does work. People have been using it to stay in touch with me through my website, and I actually enjoy that because it's my website, and I can, you know, not have to worry about other shit. So that is how you can reach me. Sam Cat, you put some effort into the karaoke job. Or a good job, Scott. I don't know. I just like the karaoke. I have to do it to kind of be sharp as a karaoke DJ. So I figure why not turn cameras on and do shit. So yeah, I'm posting little snippets of karaoke on TikTok, you know, because that's kind of a fun platform that people are kind of looking for entertaining and funny shit to watch as opposed to educational or triggering political bullshit or any of the other bullshit that's polluting a lot of other platforms. It's kind of a nice fun site, and I've been enjoying it so far, so I'm gonna be posting on there. I'm active on there. If you want to see a little bit more of shit from me, that's where you can go. So let's get into it. We've got Vegetable Police. I mean, now, there's a reason that I'm responding to this, because he is not alone in this flawed thinking about carbohydrates and how the body works. You know, so we're gonna walk through this video. I'm going to be triggered. I'm already triggered. I was triggered when I fucking started the stream. Because he basically pitches every ignorant misunderstanding of carbohydrate metabolism and storage in the body. And we're going to clear some shit up. And I hope he watches this shit. I doubt it, but, you know, he's been unresponsive whenever I've talked shit in his comments. And I don't know, maybe he thinks I'm trolling. I actually am a fan. Let me preface this. I'm a fan of VP. I'm entertained by him. But that doesn't mean when he talks some shit, I ain't going to fucking debate. I like a good debate. So hopefully he doesn't get butthurt that I'm responding to this. But I'm going to respond to it because there's a lot of things that I've heard a million times, particularly from vegans. I hear a lot of this shit. But standard American dieters, you know, or people just looking to keep doing whatever the fuck they're doing, come at me with this shit too. So we're gonna cover this. So Wendy Mars, seems like no censorship on TikTok at all. I know there's swear words. I know it's not as hardcore. There is censorship. I've seen people saying they got censored for some things. You know, you're not going to go there and get really political, or if you get political or hate speechy on there, from what I can tell, you are prime target for censorship on the platform. I don't think they want that kind of shit there. Keto isn't censored at all. Swearing isn't censored. Pranks are not censored. So I don't know. They also don't have an algorithm there. So that means that some computer isn't trying to decide if it should shut you down or not. So I'm just going to keep experimenting with it, and I think I'm going to enjoy it, even though I'm an old fuck on there, and apparently that's a meme. Like, if you're over 30 and you're on there, we don't want your kind here, you old fucking creepy motherfucker being on TikTok with all these fucking youngins. But a lot of the videos I've found on there are from, 25, 30 You know, there's even some 40-year-olds on there that I've come across, and 50-year-olds. And there's one that's called Angry Grandma. I can't get enough of her fucking videos. But without getting too deep into that, I am enjoying TikTok at the moment. Doesn't mean I will always be posting there, but for now I'm posting there because I'm having fun with it. So there's that. Natural Joe Isaac Butterfield did a hilarious video on some vegans almost dying when they bike locked their necks to a duck processing machine. Well, you know, this is probably not going to be a vegan friendly podcast, so hopefully nobody bike locks themselves after watching this. You know, people are getting asinine with that shit, that protest shit. It's ridiculous. Anyways, we're going to get started with this reaction to vegetable police.
Friend, carbohydrates are apparently not only unnecessary,
After we watched the fucking ad, apparently,
but completely non-essential to existence as we know it.
And it's true with an asterisk. Our body makes carbohydrates, but he knows this.
Listen, you caveman hobo with your thoughts, you are not right. You are not only wrong, your thoughts are not essential to my life. Looking on videos, you stumble upon Dr. Bergenson.
Oh, shit. He's talking shit about Dr. Berg.
Dr. Bergenson with his carbohydrate fallacies. Why do I spin? Where will I go? And you probably heard him say this line: carbohydrates are not an essential nutrient. I don't know who said it first, but somebody said it.
Nobody said it first, but several prominent scientists and doctors have proven that it is not essential. You do not need to eat a single gram of carbohydrates to live. You will live a perfectly productive life. There have been entire societies that have eaten very little to no carbohydrates for the entirety of their lifespan. They didn't die. They didn't have kidney failure. Their livers didn't go to shit. They might have got eaten by a fucking bear or lion or something, or succumbed to an infectious disease, because diet does not exempt you from that. But at no point is our body designed to be 100% reliant on carbohydrates. We have a carbohydrate requirement, and we can meet that requirement through gluconeogenesis, which you can look up. And he has a fundamental misunderstanding of gluconeogenesis, so we'll get to that. But this is a process that's always running in the body, and it's demand-driven. So if you're doing a lot of exercise, a lot of physical activity, gluconeogenesis will ramp up. If you're sitting on your ass, it'll ramp down. It is always producing carbohydrates, even when you eat carbohydrates, based on your physical activity. This is all well-known, well-documented biochemistry, well-documented on how the body works. It's proven. It's science. It's not epidemiology or spirits talking to you through fucking books.
And then I've heard so many different people repeat that line. It's like they're parrots made from robots. Robot parrots repeating their parents. I'm just saying words that rhyme now. They'll say there's essential amino acids, essential fatty acids, but there's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. Therefore,
yep.
For we don't need to eat carbohydrates at all. You can be perfect.
We don't. We do not. It's the bottom line. You will not die if you never eat another carbohydrate in your life. You will live a long, healthy life.
Perfectly healthy with zero.
And there's plenty of people who've proven this. People have been low-carb keto for 20 plus years. 20 plus years. Healthier than just about every fucking carb burner they're surrounded by at their age bracket.
Zero carbs. Is that true? In a very basic bitch technicality, they're right. You don't
All right.
You actually have to eat carbohydrates to make carbohydrates. But if you force yourself to make
now, What he's about to say here, I do not know where he's getting this bullshit from.
Hydrates with
Has he been watching Dr. Greger? Are you watching Dr. Greger, Vegetable Police? Because I'll lose 20% more respect than I already lost from you since you went back to being a vegetarian.
Eating them, your body turns protein into the carbs.
Wrong! All right, yes. Some amino acids are turned into carbohydrates. But glycerol, which is from fatty acids, is also used in the process. They've done repeated studies on fasting and how much lean mass you lose. And it's usually not muscle mass. It's basically autophagy kicks in and takes those damaged tissues and utilizes that for fatty or for the amino acids that it can consume. But it doesn't rely solely on the amino acids. It can break down fatty acids and also convert that to glucose. And it's demand driven. And when you're not exercising like a beast, I guarantee you the amount of carbohydrates that you need to make during this is minimal. You have a small glucose requirement in the brain. You have a small glucose requirement in a few other organs in the body. Very minuscule. You're not going to burn all your fucking gains if you're in ketosis. And you're especially not going to burn all of your gains if you're eating. This is the other part he's thinking about here. If you're he's fucking up here, is if you're eating lots of protein, which most ketogenic motherfuckers are, you're getting the amino acids. You're not breaking down any of your own shit. You're getting those amino acids. So now he's going to say that that is the only way that we produce glucose. It's entirely not true. You can break down fat that you're taking in through your diet as well. And if you're ketogenic and not eating carbohydrates and you have a lot of fat and a decent amount of protein coming in, you're just going to be fine. And by decent amount, on average, every diet has about the same protein requirement. About 20% of your calories should come from protein. If you're eating more protein than that, then yes, you will notice problems that can crop up with your kidneys and your liver. So this is not a ticket to eat 50 fucking ribeyes a day. Your meat portion should be just the same, a reasonable size as it was before you even went. If you're eating too much protein, that is going to cause problems. If you're just eating the right amount of protein and filling in that rest of that with fat, you have a complete nutrient profile, first of all, as most carnivores are doing pretty well with. And you just don't, all your carbohydrate needs are being met. And they're being met to a point where your glycogen fills up. Now, not as much in the liver, but your muscle glycogen will be full. They've done biopsies on this. Jeff Volek and Stephen Finney have been experimenting with this a while. And basically, you have full glycogen stores if you've been fat adapted and ketogenic with, now that's no cheating all the time. Rare should be your cheat days. And then your glycogen stores in your muscles will fill up. Your liver will probably be about half full. Because there is a point where if you get too much glycogen in the liver, you will drop in ketosis. So it's kind of a balancing act. And this is probably the reason why some people test strongly for ketosis or you're in weak ketosis. Despite being fat adapted and not eating a lot of carbohydrates, that can fluctuate a little bit based on how much glycogen gets stored in the liver, because your liver does a balancing act. There is a tipping point where if you have too much glucose in your liver, you will be kicked entirely out of ketosis. So that's how the body's kind of regulating whether or not you're in ketosis. So he's really not, I don't know where, he needs to read more than this medical medium book that he keeps fucking talking about and talking to spirits and shit. I mean, the spirits are wrong. All right? You're reading the wrong fucking books. There's better books, way better books with actual fucking science in it. 100% science. Not spiritual, feel-good, fucking hippie shit. It's science. You know, I've been accused of being a hippie, but a lot of the shit I do is based on how the body works. Real biochemistry. How the science works. So, you know, let's get to some of the comments here. Sam Cat, he eats fish all the time, probably eggs too. Yeah, I think I don't know that he hasn't mentioned eggs. I know that he does eat fish, which is a vegetarian diet, which is a perfectly sustainable way to, you know, that is way more sustainable than a vegan diet. And if you threw eggs in there, you could have a fairly complete nutritional profile depending on how much of these foods you eat. However, I will put a caveat to that. There are some problems with a whole foods plant-based approach. Even if you're getting all your nutrients because you're eating fish and eggs and dairy, which I don't think he does dairy at all, you're still going to run into problems with the toxicity of our plants. But we're going to get to that a little later in the podcast because there's some new shit out that if you're vegan or vegetarian, you should definitely be worried about this shit. So, you know, VP is addicted to fruit sugar. Yes, he is. This is what we're witnessing with Vegetable Police is a pure addiction to the sugar. It's well documented, sugar addiction. It is definitely a thing. He also doesn't understand.
Greatest American ever lived.
I love gummy bears. Just saying that's called addiction. It's like drugs and shit. Trust me, you're addicted to sugar, and I was. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to go through withdrawal from that addiction. And you will say and do just about anything to justify that addiction. You'll defend it tooth and nail. Just like a heroin addict will defend their addiction tooth and nail. Or a cocaine addict or any other fucking addict. An alcoholic. I just drink socially. I've used that.
Greatest American
these
ever
are all
lived.
fucking things I've said to justify my addiction. Oh, I'll just be a drink. I'll do it in moderation. These are all little keywords that when you've studied addiction for a little while, that you understand that you're just fucking trying to rationalize the fact that you are not in full control of your, you know, proclivity to take in these harmful addictive substances. And make no mistake, sugar, and fructose in particular, consumed in excess is harmful to the body. There is no biological requirement for fructose. So this whole argument about sugar, he's got to realize that sugar is 50% fructose. And sometimes higher fructose if you're eating lots of fruits and you're making fruit smoothies and all of that shit. He doesn't seem to understand that that is what causes non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which leads to insulin resistance and diabetes. So we're going to cover the hypocrisy of his statements as well, because for every point he says that we're damaging our bodies eating proteins or eating too much proteins or being in ketosis, we're damaging our bodies, which there's no documented cases of this, by the way. I could make a counterpoint with how much sugar and carbs have damaged our bodies, killed people, had them become morbidly obese, caused diabetes, caused the loss of limbs, heart attacks, all linked to sugar. But he's worried that one of us might have kidney problems. Meanwhile, vegans are suffering from fucking kidney stones left and right. I've known some personally had to get surgery for it. I don't hear a lot of ketos with, I mean, they haven't told me anything. Believe me, I thought I would have heard about it by now. They haven't told me anything about having kidney stones. So,
Greatest American ever lived.
You would think if it's bad for the kidneys, that would be one of the issues you run into. But it turns out vegans have more of those, as do carb burners. Thank you, Sam Ket, for the diamond, and thank you, Yelva, for the diamond. And let's see, I just watched a podcast on Rogan about just how much mercury is in fish. I'm contemplating not eating fish anymore. food pollution is problematic in just about every food we eat. It's just a matter of how much. If you eat it, dose determines the poison. So if you're eating fish every day, you're probably going to have mercury issues. If you're eating it once a week or once a month, you're probably not. I like fish, so I kind of occasionally take in that poison because I like shrimp. I like all of that shit. I know that on some of the foods I enjoy, that they're fucking doing damage. They're killing me. It's just a matter of how often I partake in those foods. For the most part, I go with organic ribeyes and whole foods. For the most part, but on cheat days, I'll even have grain on a cheat day, which is very damaging. Something else he doesn't understand it and has done no research in and doesn't seem to care about. Why? Because it doesn't confirm his particular bias of the moment. One thing I notice with Vegetable Police is once he gets his mind on something, he'll make tons of videos justifying that decision until the point where something's fucked up, and then he changes his mind, and then he'll justify that. He did it with the carnivore diet. He was carnivore. All his videos were, yes, carnivore is great. I feel fucking great about carnivore. Yes, carnivore, carnivore, carnivore. And then he has a fucking bad day because he ate the wrong fucking food on a carnivore diet. Doesn't rule out the whole diet, but because he had a bad day with this particular food he had, suddenly he was wrong about carnivore. He's going back to the way he was before, which he used to bitch about while he was carnivore. I know he knows this because I know people tell him that he's changing his mind. He's even joked about it. So, he's just he's reaffirming his decision, his dietary choice, by making these videos saying that this is the way it is and everything that's not this is bullshit. You got to acknowledge there's more than one way to get to your goals, depending on how you get there, depending on how many illnesses you have, depending on how you react to the foods. There's no one diet to rule them all. So, sardines and other small fish are okay. I like tuna. I'll eat tuna every once in a while, and that's poisoned as fuck. Our oceans are poisoned. There's shit floating around in our oceans. I mean, we got fucking radiation floating around in our fucking oceans. Our lakes, companies have dumped shit in there, not to mention the glyphosate's free flowing into our lakes. So, yeah, fish in moderation, extreme moderation. I mean, you could get by and never eat fish if you're keto. You can just eat grass-fed. You'll get your omega-3s that way. You don't need a lot of them. And, if you're eating... But there's problems with that, too. There's pollutions in our meat, even our organic shit. I heard recently that now they're allowing glyphosate in an organic environment and still getting the organic label. So, yeah, our farmers are getting lazy in the organic sector now, or they're wanting more money. So it's that. But let's continue with this fundamental misunderstanding of nutrition that he's not the only one. I'm picking on him because he put this video out, but I've gotten this kind of argument before.
Producing byproducts that damage your kidneys in the process.
Only if you overconsume protein, and you have to eat a lot of fucking protein to do that. And you're not going to do that if you're eating ketogenic protein as opposed to lean protein. If you are on a high-fat, low-carb diet, you are going to get way too full to overeat protein long before you would have any problems. And my recent labs confirm that I do not have that damage. I've been mostly one meal a day, sometimes twice a day on the meals. My meals contain usually a ribeye every other day, eggs on the non-ribeye days, and dairy, in the form of cheese. I don't drink milk. I do use heavy cream a lot. So I get a lot of calories of fat from that. And my labs indicate no problems with kidneys. I don't have any of the markers that show kidney or liver problems, which is amazing given my lifelong drinking of alcohol that I had going on there. So I'm probably pretty fucking healthy right now. At age 44, healthier than a lot of other people that are my age right now. I'm not on any medications. The doctor doesn't want to see me until next year, which is fucking awesome. You know, and that's only to maintain my coverage for healthcare. So, you know, things that you gotta understand about how the body works. And especially if you're talking shit to people. Now, I think at this point, not a lot of people are taking his nutritional and health advice seriously. I think more people are watching him because he's entertaining as fuck. At the same time, there are people that think the same way about carbohydrates. My nose is itching, damn it. It's awkward when you're live that you have these bodily itches and functions and shit.
Does that sound like the optimal way to go?
Yes, no. Yes, it does.
No, just go read a basic biochemistry.
What is the basic biochemistry book that you read? Vegetable, can you put the link? Is there a PDF? Do you have it? Is it over there next to your studio monitors? I don't see no basic biochemistry books over there. Now, admittedly, I haven't read a whole lot of basic biochemistry books, but I've watched a lot of lectures by college professors on the subject that carefully illustrate how the body works on an enzyme level. Now, a lot of that is beyond me, but I've still watched and forced myself to consume it multiple times until I had a chimpanzee grasp of how the body works. And if you're watching this and you don't know how the body works, or you haven't learned just how, when you consume a carbohydrate, what happens? When you consume sugar, what happens? One of the best presentations is one of these viral video by Dr. Robert Lustig on the truth of sugar, the bitter truth. Just put that into YouTube. That's the best biochemistry lesson you'll ever get on how sugar is metabolized in the body, particularly fructose. And fructose does the same damage to your body as alcohol. If you drink lots of alcohol, you're going to have lots of problems. If you consume lots of fructose, you are going to have the same problems, only you won't go to jail or puke all over the place or do any of these other shit. Because fructose doesn't affect the brain. It only affects the liver, whereas alcohol affects the brain and the liver. So that's basically, and if you overconsume fructose, it gets converted to fat. The glucose that's packaged with it usually goes into your glycogen stores, and then once your glycogen stores, it's de novo lipogenesis kicks in, and that is all turned into fat. So it always bothers me when I see these people that are on these low-fat, high-carb diets, because once your glycogen stores are full, you are converting every ounce of that to fat. And if you're not genetically prone to becoming obese, you know what happens to that fat? It gets lodged in your visceral organs. It gets lodged in your blood vessels. It kills you a lot sooner than a motherfucker that puts on 300 pounds. There are people walking around who genetically don't make lots of fat cells. And because they don't, when they overconsume these things, they run into diabetes, they run into heart disease, stroke. These are all issues that you will run into, and just because you're a skinny motherfucker doesn't mean you can eat the shit. Sorry, it's just not how the body works. No matter how many times you pound the fuckmaster, sooner or later, if you're eating like that, you're going to fucking drop dead. Or you're going to have complications and problems. Tim Noakes has proven this extensively, because he was a runner, marathon runner, wrote a book, Lore of Running, told you to eat lots of carbs, ended up with fucking diabetes. Changed his entire outlook, and now that he's gone low carb for, I think he's been 15 years, or is it 10 or 15 years, he's been low carb, high fat. Completely put his diabetes in remission, perfectly healthy old motherfucker right now. And just watch the Tim Noakes trial. You know, if by some reason you're watching this, Vegetable Police, watch the Tim Noakes trial. You'll learn all about the body. You'll learn all about our history. You'll learn all about everything. He won in court. I don't think the medical medium ghost has ever been put through that rigor of inspection. Believe me, there were a lot of industries that wanted to take him down in court. He won his case. proven in a court of law that you don't need fucking carbohydrates to live. Just saying. I was so triggered. Yeah.
Pamphlet. They exist. I've read many. And you'll see the byproducts of protein metabolism.
What is this that he's showing? Let's see. Proteins, amino acids, and nucleic acids. Yeah, but this isn't telling you how much, first of all. Deamination, removal of amine group occurs in the liver. Byproducts are sent to the kidneys for further processing. This only becomes an issue, like I said, if you overeat protein without enough fat and even without enough carbs. If you overeat protein, you will cause kidney problems. But you have to eat a lot of it. And the only way you'll be able to eat enough protein to cause this problem is if you're on a low-fat diet eating lean meat or lots of nuts. Even lots of nuts will fill you up pretty quick because there's fat in those. If you're eating lots of lean meat and lots of lean protein, this will occur. That's what's missing from your little fucking pamphlet here. You need to take into account if you're eating a normal level of protein, which if you are perfectly okay being in ketosis. And you won't even tap into your lean mass at that level. You will be eating enough protein to provide the amino acids and enough fat to provide the glycerol to fuel gluconeogenesis, which will keep your glycogen in your muscles tapped up the longer you're fat adapted, and will keep your brain's glucose requirements, which are pretty low when you have ketones in the body, will keep those requirements fulfilled. You know, it takes a while to get fat adapted for all of this to work right. But, you know, that's how we were born. We were born fat adapted, believe it or not. And then when we fuck that up, we've trained our bodies to rely on this blood sugar roller coaster to get through life. And it's a horrible roller coaster, you know, and you're starting to lose a lot of excessive weight, you know. And I do believe it's because you're not taking in enough calories at this point for the physical activity. You walk everywhere, you're doing exercise, you're doing your monkey strength shit. You know, you're putting yourself through all of this energy expenditure, and you're not taking in enough because you're relying on fruit and vegetables for your calories and fish a little bit. I don't think you eat fish every day. I don't know. But I can tell from watching your videos, you are getting this undernourished vegan syndrome going. So if you're going to do this diet, you need to up your fat. Even if it's your plant-based unhealthy fucking fats, you need more calories coming in to support the work you do. Because I've heard him complaining about how cold he gets and all of that. That is all a symptom of dropped metabolism. So... you know, these are just advice. But your flaw here is how much protein. If you're eating a normal amount of protein in your ketogenic diet, despite being keto for multiple years, your kidneys and liver will be fine. So,
Metabolism are...
let's see here. I love running, but my new fake hips say no. I miss a lot for weight loss. I miss it, but not for weight loss. Oh, I have nothing against exercise, Double Delta. In building endurance and building muscle is a perfectly good goal. It can only help you, I believe, other than when you get injured pounding the fuck master. But it's definitely not, the gym is not for weight loss. The gym is for endurance, for building muscle, for building strength, for building stamina. That is what you go to the gym for. You do not go there to lose weight. So whenever I see a personal trainer beating on some fat motherfucker, having him on the treadmill for 4 hours, I'm like, look, you're just destroying their metabolism, because they're probably, even if they go to eat whole foods, they're going to get into that biggest loser syndrome to where they drop their metabolism. They lose weight, don't get me wrong, because they're in a caloric deficit long term, because they're doing such an excessive amount of exercise and eating a lot less than their basal metabolic rate. So even when the metabolism shifts, they're still in a pretty severe deficit, and so they do start burning their fat. But the problem is once they recover from that, because they're carb burners, their metabolism doesn't crank back up. They end up plateauing. And then if they don't continue with the caloric deficit and being in the gym, weight regain starts to happen. And it can be rapid in some cases. So there's that. Dubinsky, you missed the endorphin high, but you can still get it on other cardio machines and shit. Or I like hiking. That's my thing. So, I mean, can you still hike double delta? Maybe that's a solution. Or just walking is a solution. You still, I get endorphins from doing that. So I think maybe you can try that, but, you know, don't hurt yourself or anything. So didn't VP try keto diet and just the carnivore diet? Yeah, he hated keto before he tried I think he tried vegan keto, though, which is a harder diet to pull off. So I believe so. Yeah, I believe that's the case. And you lose muscle too. What a waste of all the hard work back in the day. And I believe he's losing muscle. He insists he hasn't lost strength, but I think he's burning through lean mass. Why? Because he's not taking enough calories. When you don't eat enough calories, your body is still going to use gluconeogenesis to break down your muscle to get the energy that it needs. So make no mistake, even if you're eating just carbohydrates and not a lot of fat, but if you're not getting enough calories to meet your physical energy needs, your metabolism is going to drop, and you're also, while you're exercising, going to be utilizing the very lean mass you're trying to build to fuel your exercise. It sucks. You know, that's why bodybuilders have bulk cycles and cut cycles. Because they can't cut for too long, they start losing their gains. And if they bulk, they put on a lot of extra fat on top of the muscle. But at the same time, they're able to find this balance where they just jump back and forth and maintain their gains. Well, if all you're doing is eating that diet and exercising, and you're not getting enough calories on a consistent, you're in a constant cut. You're constantly in a caloric deficit. You're not going to build muscle doing that. You're not going to gain lots of strength. And you might start wasting away if you do not get the proper amount of calories in. And you have to eat a lot of plants and fruit to make up for a lack of intake of fat and protein. And you're going to get filled with fiber long before that. And some people are hardcore. They do fasting on top of this plant-based diet, and oh my God, you're just destroying your metabolism, and that's why you see so many vegans become very thin and very emaciated. Not good thin. This is unhealthy thin, and some people are like, well, yeah, I weigh 300 pounds. I'm going vegan so I can lose all this. Well, you're going to run into problems because you're going to also fuck your muscle up while you're doing that. If you're a fat motherfucker, you're going to find that once you start peeling that fat off properly, using keto, using fasting, that kind of stuff, underneath you got a decent amount of muscle. You want to keep that. You don't want to burn that shit off. Whereas if you do this low-calorie fucking vegan type stuff, you're going to take out a lot of that tissue because you're not meeting your energy demands. So if you find yourself cold, if you find yourself, having to force yourself to exercise instead of ready to get up and go, I can tell you, I've repeatedly mentioned this about metabolism, that, when I overeat, my metabolism ramps up. I sweat at night. I wake up earlier in the day ready to go. Whereas when my metabolism's down, I'm freezing my ass off even when it's warm. And I don't get out of bed quite as easily. These are all little subtle things your body does to lower your metabolism because you're not taking in enough to feed your physical activity. So these are all things to think about that he gives zero fucking fucks about in these health videos he puts out. And sometimes I just want to shake him. I'm like, please research some other shit. You came across a fucking Dr. Berg video. Congratulations. That's like level fucking 1 out of 20 of learning about how the body works, how keto and low carb actually works. There is a hell of a lot more to it than that. Read some fucking books besides medical medium shit. I feel like he found this one fucking book and that he's rolled with that as his entire diet philosophy and ignored any other fucking input coming in. You know, and I see him struggling health-wise. He claims he feels great, and then he'll throw in a little complaint every now and then. And then he'll try and figure out something that he did to cause that. But I'm telling you, you were doing better, in my opinion, from watching your videos when you were in Thailand and doing carnivore. You were physically and mentally better than you are on a vegetarian diet right now, in my opinion. That's my opinion. I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just some dickhead on the internet who has a fucking opinion that I need to run off at the mouth. So, you know, that's my thoughts on, you know, I really wish I could get through to him because he's got a large audience. And if he could give good, solid advice, he would benefit a lot of people because vegans are watching him. And so are us low carbers and carnivores. He was pretty smart in flip-flopping because now he's got, you know, he's got a little bit of a like ratio issue because of his flip-flopping. But people haven't tuned out. So, you know, as a YouTuber, it's fucking smart. It's got me talking about him. Not that I don't have any traffic to drive to him. I'm lucky if I get 1,000 views on my videos now, thanks to YouTube.
Urea. Wow, I got one. These are super harsh chemicals that your kidneys try to eliminate as fast as possible, and it really stresses.
And if I recall, he had gout for a little while. I've never had gout. I've been keto for over 4 years now. No gout, no problems with urea. I love meat. I eat lots of meat. Chicken wings, fucking eggs. I eat fucking ribeyes. My kidneys are fine. I haven't fucked around with my health the way you have. You've changed your diet like 5,000 fucking times since I started watching you. You haven't given a diet time to do the long-term benchmark. So, you know, when you switch diets, you're going to encounter changes and symptoms, some of which are negative. It goes both ways too. When you first become ketogenic, you're going to go through keto flu. Your body's going to be going through all the withdrawals from the sugar. You're going to crave. You're going to feel like shit. But then after 6 weeks, you start to feel normal again. And you run more optimally then. And you start to lose weight if you're fat. If you're diabetic, you go into remission. Or at least keep your blood levels or your sugar levels low enough, depending on how burnt out your pancreas got. You know, you fix a lot of problems. And, you know, I've got tons of videos. Feel free, Vegetable Police, if you want to learn about low carb,
now, would you?
to watch some of my shit, because I'll point you in the direction of some good shit to watch. Just saying. Thanks for the lemon, Max Slutcher. I can't pronounce that.
The mouth. It hurts. It's like being given something that...
Narrow Path, February will be 1 year on keto. And, you know, am I saying anything wrong here? I mean, you should be experiencing a lot of the benefits in a 1 year period. I don't know that he's given a diet a full year other than vegan. And he took a shit on that, remember? Remember when he went carnivore, all the shits he took on being a vegan? And, you know, he's flip-flopped completely. And now he's, you know, he needs to stop, like, pumping himself up and take a more neutral approach when he's trying a dietary approach instead of just trying to talk himself into it. That's what I feel like a lot of his videos are. He's not really trying to talk us into it. I think he's trying to convince himself that he's right about being healthy, you know, and I think he is currently in the middle of a mistake and that we will at some point see him change his diet again. It might take a few years, but I think his current diet is going to result in him reevaluating and maybe going back. I don't know. We'll see. I'm convinced that the medical medium spirit can only get him so far. So, Narrow path, down 50 pounds, and my pre-diabetes are totally gone. It's roughly the same for me. You know, I think I'm close to 60 pounds down, and pre-diabetes is gone. My high blood pressure dropped. Every time I go and get my blood pressure checked, I'm good. All my labs were good. You know, I mean, and I've been doing it for 4 years. And I have cheat days. I eat fucked up shit sometimes. I don't even enjoy the sugary shit anymore. That's the fucked up part. I want to enjoy it. My tastes have changed. It's weird. When you go a long time without sugary shit, and then you go and try and eat some sugary shit, it's gonna be like you just sat there with a spoon and dipped into the fucking Domino sugar and just, you know, lined it up on a mirror with the credit. You know, it's gonna give you the dopamine hit, but you're not gonna enjoy it a lot. You're not gonna be craving it afterwards. You're gonna be like, it was too sweet. And I actually, when I have a cheat day that involves a sugary fucking dessert, I end up fucking wanting to go back to my normal low sugar keto desserts because I enjoy those. And you can't eat those endlessly. You get full pretty fucking quick. I had keto cheesecake. It was, oh my God, does you get full on that. If I eat regular cheesecake, I could eat fucking almost 2,000 calories of cheesecake and not get full. I eat a small piece of fucking keto cheesecake and I get full, like, for fucking a day. Like, I could literally just eat a piece of cheesecake and not get hungry the rest of the fucking day. You know, that doesn't happen with sugary standard American diet shit. Just doesn't happen. I understand that that may throw you out of keto, but still fat adapted, correct? Yes, as long as you don't cheat too often, you will maintain fat adaptation. I would say you could have a cheat every 2 weeks and not lose your fat adaptation, assuming your cheat is limited, as in you have a cheat meal. If you have a cheat weekend, you're playing with fire. If you have, you know, a cheat week, you're going to be completely kicked out. But if you just have a fucking standard American diet meal once every couple of weeks, it's going to hurt you health-wise, but you'll recover. You're giving yourself enough time to recover from any damage. You're not going to lose your fat adaptation. It takes multiple days to return. Just like it took 6 weeks to fat adapt, it takes time to go back. You're going to feel like shit because you're not adapted to eating a standard American diet if you have a cheat meal. And that's well documented. I had a cheat meal this last road trip, and I straight up had fucking depression kick in. It didn't last long, thankfully. But I had a full depression. It was minor. It wasn't a soul-crushing, can't-get-out-of-bed one. But it wasn't fun. And it reminded me, hey, motherfucker, you just can't eat that shit. You know? So I overdid it on one of my cheat days. And my body let me know that that's not cool. So I've recovered from that. I'm not depressed. And that's the only depression I've experienced since I quit drinking and went more ketovore, more carnivore-ish with the foods I eat. If I bring too much grain, too much fructose, too much sugar into my life, I start to deteriorate. Not just physically, although I would argue I didn't regain any weight. Like, I'm straight up same weight the entire time, even with the cheat day, you know, the multiple cheat days on the trip. I didn't regain any weight, but I definitely noticed the changes with my mental health, which are a thing. So, you know, if you have mental health issues that are responsive to your nutrition and you do too much cheat days, you're playing with fire there too. And like I've said in the past, I don't like the prospect of going back to having full-blown depression. So anytime I nudge into that, I go more carnivore. Like straight up meat, fat. You know, maybe some of the keto foods that I know do not affect that I've narrowed down through process of elimination style approach at reintroducing foods to the carnivore diet that I do enjoy, that I want to be able to eat, and seeing if they cause me the mental health issues. So far, so good there. We're doing all right with that. So, Double Delta Zero, to quit drinking diet soda, just drink water. I don't drink diet soda at all. But I do put Splenda Naturals, which is stevia mixed with erythritol, and I sweeten my coffee with that. So, and I can't tell you how much that saves me from wanting to do sweet desserts. That's my dessert for most meals, is I'll have some sweetened coffee with heavy whipping cream in it, preferably, organic heavy whipping cream. Stuff without emulsifiers. Otherwise, I end up on the bowl. K-pop nightmare. Gave stevia a chance and got allergic to it. I have no minimal sugar, just raw and not granulated. Raw sugar is still sugar. It still has the same effect on the body. Fructose is fructose, whether you're getting it from natural sources or whether you're getting it from high fructose corn syrup. Your liver's going to not look at it any differently, especially if you're over consuming it. You're still going to be causing problems. So just to think about, something to think about if you're a carb burner. Sugar's a thing. The less sugar in your life, the healthier a carb burner you can be. You don't need fructose. You do not need fructose, which is what is in sugar, natural or otherwise. You don't need it. It's designed to make you fat. That's why it's in nature. It was to fatten you up when it's in season. You would get fattened up so that you could get through the winter where you couldn't find any fucking plants and fruit unless you dried the shit out or preserved it in some way. That is what nature intended fructose to be. And also to assist in redistributing seeds of plants. It's what our job was in exchange for getting fat for the winter. That's what fructose is for. Your body has no nutritional requirement for it, and if you overconsume it, it is the same as overconsuming alcohol in terms of liver damage, in terms of it being converted to fat. So something to think about. Doesn't matter if it came from a honeybee's ass or if it came from the Domino's sugar factory, from sugarcane and all of that. One way or another, you are overconsuming fructose, especially if you're eating sugar at the levels of our standard American diet, which are obscene. You're talking about a single serving food item with 50 to 60 grams of sugar in it. Way more than the body needs. You can only store, maybe at max, if you're a big muscle-bound motherfucker, 200 grams of sugar. Max. If you're like Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you're like VP, he's probably got maybe 110, maybe 120 grams of storage, and then that's it. And if he can't get fat, if he's not genetically prone to getting fat, that'll affect his health. So, my thoughts.
Greatest American ever lived.
What about fruit, Scott? I eat fruit once in a while, even though I do emergency in the morning. I would say fruit is okay, but treat it like a cheat. There are some fruits you can eat at ketogenic levels, and yes, in moderation, it's fine. Not every day. Every once in a while, have you a banana. You can actually get away with it and remain in ketosis, by the way, if you eat no other carbs that day. Depending on what your carb tolerance is. Some people are 30 grams max a day, which a banana would push you over. But if you're in the 50-gram carb tolerance, which you can experiment to figure out at what point you get kicked out of ketosis. For me, it's 50 grams, so I could eat a banana and then just not eat any other carbs that day, and I'd still remain in ketosis, and I wouldn't overwhelm my liver with fructose. But if you're eating fruit smoothies, or you're grinding the shit up, or you're eating a bunch of fruit and you're doing it every day, that isn't normal. Also, only eating it when it would be in season, in nature, not when it's in the Walmart shelf. Eat it when it's in season. Eat locally whenever possible. If you're going to eat an apple, go to the local apple grower and hope he isn't fucking Monsanto in your ass. These are all things if you're going to consume fruit. Fruit is not designed for you to go every week and buy a whole thing of bananas every week and eat the shit out of it. That's not how nature wanted us to use fruit. And it's addicting. It's just as addicting as a candy bar, as a soda. Well, maybe if you throw a caffeine addiction in there. But you get what I'm saying. you're not doing anything for your sugar addiction if you're eating fruit. Are you required to eat fruit nutritionally? No. You will have a complete nutritional profile without it. To me, I think it's nature's candy. It's a good treat. Treat it like a dessert. Treat fruit like a dessert. Would you sit down and eat a piece of cake every fucking day? If the answer is no, there you go. That's how often you should be eating fruit. It just because it grows doesn't make it fucking healthy for you. There's plenty of shit in nature that grows that kills you. If you eat it as nature intended, you'll get the results that nature intended. As in, if you eat a lot of fruit, in addition to a normal balanced diet, you're going to gain some weight. You're going to get fat. If you only do that when it's in season, then you'll only get fat once a year, and then you'll burn off the fat over the course of the winter, assuming you're eating healthy. If you're eating a standard American diet, it doesn't matter if you're eating fruit, because you're just fucked. All right? You're not going to be any healthier eating fruit on the standard American diet as anything else. If you're eating lots of grain, lots of Monsanto taint, you're going to be fucked, pretty much. So, yeah, there's that. Mr. Humpty 284. Oh, by the way, thanks for the diamond, Mr. Humpty. You didn't miss much. The replay will be available on first here on DLive for 3 days, and then I'll post it via BitChute. I'll embed it in the subscriber lounge on ScottTheTruckDriver.com, because earlier I figured out how to put the replays on BitChute going forward, and then I can embed those on my website, which is something I've been looking for a while to get working. That didn't require YouTube. I'm trying to do shit without YouTube. This podcast, I might do a video snippet of the VP, a heavily edited version of this for YouTube, but the rest of this podcast is going to be exclusive to here on DLive and the website. So a lot of what you're watching isn't going to be anywhere else, which is kind of the point of the Thursday podcast. I might squeeze a video out of it, but other than that, that depends on, my week and how things are going. I'm trying to be efficient with this YouTube shit since I've had to return to doing the Uber on the side, which I have, and it's helping. Definitely my finances are back on track, so I won't be getting in a truck anytime soon, I don't think, unless I get sick of doing Uber. Let's see here. Yeah, I eat frozen cherries and blueberries with nothing added, less than a cup a day. If you're doing less than a cup a day, that's for blueberries, that would be ketogenic. For cherries, less than a cup a day. And I think you'd be pushing it if you're trying to be keto. So there's that. Amateur 13, what about using almond milk in coffee? No. Almond milk is, first of all, it's not a natural way to consume almonds. You shouldn't overconsume almonds for a variety of plant toxin reasons. So if you have any autoimmune or allergy issues, you might want to think twice about doing almond milk. If you don't have a bad reaction, then by all means, But I know for me, with the autoimmune issues and the allergies that prop up whenever I fuck up, that excessive nuts can cause me to break out in hives and react to certain things that I otherwise wouldn't react to. And it actually, because I had those 2 cheat days, here's another thing that happened to me on this road trip. I had these 2 cheat days, and then one of the days, Kari brought a dog to the Airbnb that we were at. And I petted the dog. The dog was all like, happy, doing flappy dog shit. And I broke out in hives. Like, for a good 3 hours. I went and cleaned my fucking skin off, and I knew that the only reason that dog caused me to react is because I had had cheat days, diet-wise, which meant grain in my life. Because that's the only time I break out in hives, is when I fuck up dietarily. Otherwise, I could have pet that dog and not had any problems. So this is something to keep in mind if you have a lot of allergies. Nuts are not your friend. So there's that. I like a bit of organic ghee in coffee. I just do my heavy cream, my organic heavy cream, and then that's all I need in my coffee. You know, it might be a little basic bitch in terms of, you know, gourmet-ish shit, but I generally do organic coffee with organic heavy cream, and I do a lot of it. So that's my addiction. That's my guilty pleasure. I tried quitting caffeine, didn't work out. So now I just roll with it as, okay, if this takes a year or two off my life, so be it. There's no evidence of that. So, you know, other than a little epidemiology, but that epidemiology is bullshit most of the time anyway. Natural Joe, I add some frozen blueberries, sometimes on top of vanilla and some stevia to my plain Greek yogurt. All I do for my Greek yogurt, and I actually posted this on TikTok, like I posted my Greek yogurt. Sometimes I do Lily's chocolate chips, which are flavored with stevia and erythritol. Not all the time, but I'll throw some of that in there. So I have chocolate chips in there, and then I'll put a packet of stevia erythritol in there, and that's plenty sweet for me. I'm good at that point. It's like a dessert, and it's filling. Like one little cup, one single serving cup of that Greek yogurt is enough. It fulfills my desserty desire requirements, you know, because I like savory and I like a little bit of sweet, you know, and I utilize stevia erythritol for that. I've been doing stevia erythritol for pretty much the entirety of these 4 years, and I've noticed no negative side effects. In fact, I believe that's why I'm not as sweet sensitive, is because I've been doing that, so that anytime I have a really sugary cheat, I don't like it as much. I don't enjoy it. It's not as the flavor I remember. I don't have the tolerance for lots of sugar now, as far as flavor goes, nor do I have it. You know, obviously I'm doing damage if I eat something like that as well. So there's that. Narrow path, too many nuts gives me problems. It's the same thing for me, narrow path. That's why I had to cut them down. I do like them though, and I do have my Veronica's Health Crunch periodically, but it's no longer a daily staple. I wouldn't do it more than once a week. I found that even doing it once a week, I don't have allergy issues and I don't have depression issues. So I kind of limit myself to that. But I do know that if I ate it every day, then that'd be a lot of calories too. Like you get 1,000 calories that way. That I don't run the risk of hitting allergy levels again and hitting depression again. So you know me right now. I'm happy with my body weight. You know, it's not perfect, but I'm good enough. I'm happy with my health. For me, the importance of not slipping back into depression or anxiety or any of these other mental illnesses that for me, you know, and I do always put that little asterisk because I can't speak to everyone's mental health because there's a variety of causes and effects. But for me, my depressions went away when I went more carnivore. And noticing that whenever I feel like I'm fucking up nutritionally and that it's leading to that, I go back to carnivore and it goes away. And that's in spite of how much life's kicking me in the balls or how much misery or problems I'm having. Whether or not I get depressed is entirely based on how fucked up my diet is. And if my diet isn't fucked up and something bad happens, yeah, I get bummed. But it lasts for maybe an hour. If my nutrition isn't dialed in and I have something that would cause me the depression, now, would you? That depression in that state would last days, weeks of crushing levels of depression. So I'm really satisfied that carnivore and diet are the way to go to treat my particular brand of depression. Anxiety, I don't have a real problem with, haven't had a problem with ever since I went keto, you know, but it can creep back in if I'm having excessive amount of cheat days. So there's that. So if you're suffering depression and anxiety and you haven't tried the nutritional way of controlling it, you got nothing to lose. You know, you're doing a 30 to 60 days of carnivore. Isn't that worth a try if you're suffering from depression and anxiety, which is pretty much ruining your life on a daily basis? Cannot hurt to try it. If you try it and you don't like it, then you didn't lose anything. You found out if it worked for you or not. If you try it and it works, seems like worth it. Seems like worth a shot. Just my thoughts on the mental health side of things. Something else, he doesn't seem to address.
It's on fire to throw away. It's like, okay, I'll take the... Oh, it's on fire. Just take out some regular trash, asshole. Why does it gotta be flaming? You know what the byproducts of carbohydrate metabolism are?
Yep, fatty liver disease.
Frickin', I know. Well, I'm just seeing if you know. I trust
I do. I do know. If you're over-consuming fructose, you're going to get fatty liver disease. If you're over-consuming carbohydrates, they're getting converted to fat. If you're not genetically able to hold that fat, you're going to get it in the liver. You're going to have fatty liver. You're going to have fatty pancreas. And you're going to develop diabetes, heart disease, and a variety of other health problems once your fat cells are full. Not to mention the insulin resistance and all of that. Like I said earlier, you're telling me that being in ketosis is going to ruin my kidneys. I'm telling you that being a carb burner is going to give you diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and fat. Unless you're under eating like you are. But for the majority of us, we even look at a carbohydrate, we gain fucking weight. No problem. It's not an issue for us ungenetically gifted motherfuckers that ate the standard American diet for 30, 40 years, So, yeah. Something to consider. That's my answer to your question, VP.
I know. Carbon. Wind.
It didn't know shit.
Dust. Popcorn. No, I don't know. So what? Doesn't even matter. Nothing.
Yes. At least you're honest.
Nothing hurts in a carbohydrate metabolism. It feels good. It heals you as it leaves your body.
And if you look at around, you don't have to go far to find out what this high carb fucking diet is doing to us. As far as the Whole Foods vegans, you can see the results in the amount of ex-vegan channels that are out there and the amount of ex-vegan cases there are in forums and in various places. So vegan's an ethical diet. It's not a healthy diet. Vegetarian, a little less so. You're not going to have as many problems, but you're still going to have some problems. The whole kidney stone thing and various other things. And I've seen some standard American vegans that are out there and vegetarians that have the same standard American diet illnesses as everyone else. Look around, man. I mean, look at ketos. Look at how they look. Look at how they feel. Look at their health problems. Look at their weight. You're going to find that they're doing pretty fucking good. I don't see a lot of ex-keto videos out there. I see a lot of ex-vegans, and I see a whole lot of unhealthy standard American dieters. There's a reason our public health has gone to shit. And following the same advice, which is skewed more towards low-fat, high-carb, plant-based nutrition, is just doubling down on something that already didn't work, and that is reducing our fat and meat consumption throughout the past 50 years has led to this epidemic of obesity, heart disease, cancer, and autoimmune illness. These are all things that would not be at the levels they are today had we not followed the stupid food guidelines, which pushed us down this high-carb, low-fat approach that you're essentially preaching with this video. Mic drop on that and shit. I think folks dabbling in keto is not good. Too much fat, if not fat adapted, go all in or not. Yeah, if you're eating lots of fat and lots of carbs at the same time, you are essentially eating a standard American diet. That's what the standard American diet is. When they use a diet to experiment on rats, that is the micronutrient breakdown they give them. And they call it a high-fat diet, ironically. But it's really just a standard American diet. Standard American diet is high fat, usually vegetable oils, which have their own problems, and high carb at the same time. Destroying yourself. Not to mention alarming levels of sugar. They can't put enough of the shit in there. They got engineers and scientists determining what the bliss point is. And that bliss point goes up the longer you keep eating that way. To where that 75 grams of fucking sugar in a fucking food that even isn't even that sweet, doesn't quite get you to the bliss point. So they got to put even fucking more in. And I think that's why every time I eat something sugary on a cheat day, that I don't enjoy it, because it's too sweet. Because I'm no longer at that level where I'm desensitized to that amount of sugar coming into my life. Keto turns into a lifestyle, not just a diet. True story. You know, keto and fasting is a lifestyle. It's not something temporary. It's something you're either going to do this for the rest of your life or you're not. No half-assing it, no bouncing in and out. If you're bouncing in and out, you're doing it wrong. You know? And you're going to bounce in and out in the beginning a lot. You're going to jump in and out of it. I see it. I've seen it in multiple real-world cases of people who I've gotten to try the diet, and they end up bouncing out of it for one reason or another. And a lot of it is social pressure, addiction, and just constantly being in a bad food environment, which you really have to train yourself to walk through a store, to go to the mall, to walk by, to even go downtown in a city. Is you're filled with constant food choices that are all fucking bad for you, and very little food choices that are good for you. You know, they put aromas in the air. They do everything they can to get you to buy that shit. And if you're ever going to break that addiction to where you can walk through that environment and not want those foods, you really got to have a little bit of willpower in the beginning and commit to the diet. Once you get over the hump, though, I'm telling you, you can walk through that environment and not do any of that shit. Even if you have the occasional cheat day, just to kind of blend in with society a little, you're gonna find that you're not as into it as you used to be. You're gonna find the foods are too sweet now. You're gonna find that you feel like dog shit whenever you do it. You might have symptoms that return when you do it, and it's going to reduce your desire to do it, because you start to really notice the difference between how you feel once you're fat adapted and how you feel when you go back to those foods. So I just showed you that you are a Turkish audience. Well, that's good. I think, I don't know what your food situation is like over there, if you guys have the same problems with food that we have destroying us. So hopefully you guys got a better diet over there than we do. We definitely are fucked up over here, I tell you that. And they're fucked up in Canada too. I've been there. And from what I can tell, the UK is fucked up. So for those of you in the UK, you can probably benefit from all of this as well. Let's see here. I like VP, but he's going to kill himself going to extremes on these. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's just going to keep bouncing back and forth. You know, I can already see a future ex-vegan showing up here. Just looking at him, you know. And that's not to be insulting. That's just my opinion, based on the way he was when he was carnivore and so on and so forth. I'm a little biased, obviously, so he's probably not going to take that into account. But in my opinion, he's swinging the pendulum the other way too far. You know, if you're going to do this, don't do extremes anymore. You know, I think he'd be better off just being like on a Mediterranean high-fat diet, you know. But then again, he's got problems, you know. So he's got health issues. So you kind of got to tailor your diet to those health issues. And in my opinion, I still think carnivore is the best diet for him based on his intestinal problems. And, you know, but he would disagree with that currently, because there's like spirits and shit that tell you the proper way to eat.
I know, but protein is the killer. You can smell it. You ever see fish that's a little not so fresh? Just smell that.
Yeah, rotten meat. I'm never been on board with the high meat fucking shit, or the raw carnivore. And I eat my shit pretty rare. Don't get me wrong. But I would never go full raw, I don't think. Because, not necessarily because you couldn't. Like, if you were there and you were hunting and you killed your fresh kill and you decided to gnaw on the motherfucker real quick, as in within minutes of you taking him down, you're probably going to do all right. You could still get some kind of, if the animal had any infections or anything, have some problems. But meat sits a long-ass time. And the longer the meat sits, the more bacteria grows on. I think it's like every 20 minutes it doubles or something like that, which can be okay if that's all healthy bacteria, but there's no guarantee that that's the kind of bacteria that's going to form. And you could get food poisoning, especially with some foods are very prone to like the bad bacteria. And, you know, that's why you don't eat raw chicken, because 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to fucking get sick. I've never gotten sick from my ultra rare, and I do mean ultra rare, as I sear the outside, the inside is raw, ribeyes. I don't have any problems eating that. I've never gotten foodborne illness from doing that, and I do it a lot. I've always done that. Even with a Standard American Diet, that's how I liked my steaks. So, I don't know about letting meat ferment, narrow path, and that kind of stuff. I know that that is how they did it back in the day before we had refrigerators and all of that shit, that they did ferment their shit. But I don't know. I don't think our meat quality and our storage and logistics are healthy enough to take that chance on foodborne illness. If you killed the animal yourself, you slaughtered it yourself, and you took all of the proper precautions in fermenting in that process, and you had control from the animal to your stomach, then yes, I think it could be a viable way to eat. But unfortunately, if you're going down to the fucking supermarket or Walmart and you're buying your fucking meat, you don't know how long that meat's been in that store. You don't know. They change dates on packages. I have no doubt they put pink shit in it to make it look fucking still ripe or still good when it's not so good. You know, there's been stores that have had exposés, particularly in Canada, by the way, they just changed the dates and put the shit back on the shelf rather than take the loss after it's sat there in the supermarket for a while. So, you know, and I've seen it where people, like, the butchers will leave the shit out on, like, a shelf and all of that. And plus, I've seen people that cook their meat that way. And I would be concerned with that, where they leave, like, the steak at room temperature for 3 hours and then they cook it. And I'm like, because you don't know how long that steak sat, especially if it's a non-organic source of meat. You don't know what that shit's been through. So, thoughts on fermented and raw. And he did it. He did the raw carnivore shit, as far as I could tell. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe if he adopted a more Sean Baker-ish approach to it, or, you know, one of us other non-raw carnivores, that maybe he would somehow have fared better when he was carnivore. So I don't know. You know, who knows with vegetable police. Fermented foods is good for the gut. I do agree that a proper fermented food that doesn't have any of the bad bacteria is good for the gut. And, you know, I don't think we need to be afraid of all bacteria. By no means am I saying that. I'm just saying that our food sources and our food processing and our food logistics could lead to bad bacteria, which could cause foodborne illness. So, you know, he ate high meat. Yeah, I think he also ate like 100-year-old egg, if I remember right, in one of those videos, all in Thailand. In Thailand, you don't know how long that shit's been in there if it was fucking fermented properly. So you never know. Wendy Mar, I eat a meal per day. If I eat, I'm making sure it's good fresh meat, nothing risky or sketchy. Yeah, the Triangle Organic, you know, even though there's problems coming up with that, but, you know, it is what it is.
It's like, I've smelt the ammonia. I bought fish so many times down at Loblaws here, and I get it home, I'm like, I'm
going to have a ribeye tonight cooked that way, Duncan.
My God, what is that? Now I smell it before I buy it. If it smells like ammonia, I don't buy it. It tastes horrible. Makes you smell like a donkey. Ate a sandwich, didn't even finish it. Gave half of it to his grandma. What did she do with it? Did she like it? Why do I spin for? She didn't even like it. So when someone tells you that carbohydrates are not essential, you can make carbohydrates from protein, they want you dead. That's all I know. That will...
Apparently, I've been wanting to kill everybody on my channel over the years. I've gotten all the letters of hate of people that I've almost died eating this way. You know, I get so much mail about that. So many comments. Dude, your diet almost sent me to the hospital. No. I've not, none of those. None of those. I've had some angry vegans in there and accuse me of not knowing what the fuck I'm talking about. But other than that, anybody that's actually tried the diet long term has told me of the hundreds of fucking benefits that they've experienced on the diet. Weight loss, diabetes remission, blood pressure normalizing, mental health improvements, autoimmune improvements, anxiety improvements, depression going away. I've gotten letters to that effect and comments to that effect. But I'm pretty sure if somebody did this for a while and ended up in the fucking hospital, I would probably fucking hear about it, as would any other of the keto channels. Not to mention the doctors who treat patients with this diet, who have clinical data that shows long-term the effects of this diet. It is proven at this point. If you look at the clinical data, like Eric Westman, he's been treating obese patients and diabetics with this diet for 20 plus years. He has a huge data point record. He knows all the ways people fuck up. He knows the effects on long-term health. He sees the effects on weight loss. He has all of that data plus all the blood work. He checks whether or not they're complying with the diet based on ketosis levels in the blood. He knows if you've been keto and has the data to show. I mean, how much more proof do you need? But you don't even need any of that proof. If you do this, if you try it, you're going to see improvements if you stick to it. You don't cheat all the time, and you do at least 6 to 8 weeks in the beginning without even thinking about cheat. Keep your carbs as low as you can get. Then later on, you can experiment and add 10 grams per week until you kick out of ketosis to figure out what your personal carb tolerance is before you lose ketosis. And once you do that, you'll notice anytime you go back at how bad you feel, at how many health problems you're fucking having. So, 1 meal a day is totally sustainable. I agree. And on the days when I just sit in this fucking chair, 1 meal a day is what I do. With the exception, with the asterisk, I put fat in my coffee. That's fat fasting, essentially. It's not going to spike insulin. It's not going to cause any reductions in autophagy. So with that exception, I eat 1 meal a day, most days. On days where I'm physically active, I'm out and about, hiking, walking, doing all kinds of shit, I might have a snack later. And that snack's usually something like that snack I posted last night on TikTok, where I posted the keto yogurt, essentially, which is phage, 5% milk fat. And honestly, the lactose that's in that gets consumed by the bacteria because it's fermented, so you don't even get those carbs. You can essentially not count them towards your total. It's not going to throw you out of ketosis at all, you know. And on days when I do that, I'll throw an extra snack in, or I'll have a little bit extra coffee with fat in it, and that'll be beyond the 1 meal a day. But for the most part, today, you know, what I'm going to eat today, I've had fat in my coffee. I've drank almost a full pot of coffee so far today. I might have more coffee later in the day. If I go out and run Uber, probably that's going to be a thing. Which he talks shit about. You know, apparently the only reason I feel good is because I drink coffee. Well, I tried not drinking coffee, and caffeine withdrawal is a thing. Plus, I like it. I get dopamine out of it, and who knows where I would seek that dopamine if I didn't have coffee to go to. You know, remember, addiction transfer is a thing. So, I'm going to have a ribeye with lots of butter on it for dinner. And I might snag some Halo Top or maybe have another one of those yogurts for dessert with that dinner. So, that'll be my 1 meal. And then that'll probably be it for the day, unless I do some physical activity that makes me a little hungry later in the evening. That's it. That's my day of eating. No vegetables, no fruits. That's all I'm doing today. Yesterday I did eggs. with some fucking bacon. It was about 4 eggs. Lots of butter in the eggs. Fat. And that full-fat Greek yogurt. That's all I had yesterday. So, I'm not dying. My kidney didn't fall out of my asshole. Everything's working good. We're surviving. I didn't need the medical medium book to figure that out.
Damage your kidneys and liver long term. Gluconeogenesis is not a good thing. Then you're producing adrenaline.
Narrow path. My doc is down with my keto, but said I should add more red meat, which I have. Yes, red meat is probably you're getting a more complete nutritional profile with red meat. There's a few things that are a little low in red meat that you would make up for with adding other things into your diet, but if you ate nothing but red meat and fat, you would get all the nutrients you need. You would not have an issue. And you would not have a high vitamin C requirement because you're not eating carbs. You still get some vitamin C if you're eating it very rare, or if you're eating liver or organ meats or anything like that. But for the most part, if that's all you're eating and you're not consuming a lot of glucose and a lot of fructose, you're not going to need a lot of vitamin C. That's the other thing. Oh, your vitamin C, you don't get that. And, well, you do get a little bit of that. It's just not tested in a lot of meats. And depending on how, if you overcook it, you're not going to get it. But that's the same if you overcook, like, tomato sauce. You're not going to get fucking vitamin C that way. And consequently, that is my occasional source of vitamin C. Every couple days or so, I'll have some low-carb pizza sauce mixed with some 80-20 ground beef, organic. And I put like mozzarella cheese in there, and then that's a meal sometimes for me too. That's when I want to be cheap too, you know, because I find that the high-fat organic ground beef is fairly cost-effective as far as bringing in calories. And you know, if you throw any, I don't even throw any extra fat in with that. It's usually fatty enough to satisfy me, and sometimes that's my one meal, you know. So yeah, there's. I eat when I'm hungry. Don't get me wrong. If I'm hungry, I'll eat. I listen to my body because I know my body is managing my energy balance now. And if I overeat, like I said, I get hot. You know, my body regulates my weight has not shifted. I've been fucking messing with it. I did that last fast, which was what, a month ago? A couple months? When was it? Whenever I went out in the woods. That was the last long fast I did. Other than that, I eat when I'm hungry. And I'm only hungry once a day. Around dinner time. Part of that might be routine. And it's not real super hungry. It's like, oh, yeah, you could probably eat right now, dickhead. Go eat. And then I stop when I'm full. Sometimes I overdo it. But for the most part, I stop when I'm full. And then like I said, if I'm highly physically active, I get hungry again later in the day. And I listen to my body. I'm like, okay, apparently I did enough to where my body wants more food. So I go and I do it. That's what a lot of people that are carb burners don't get, is that system starts working properly. You don't have to count calories once you do this. Once you've adapted to eating this way, you just listen to your body. Don't overdo it. Don't force feed yourself. Don't eat out of habit and boredom and all of that, because that's all food addiction issues. Once you get through the addiction, which takes longer than 6 weeks, mind you, you can essentially just listen to your body. Oh, I'm hungry. I'll go eat this. And you'll find that you'll get full pretty quick. I've observed my mother, by the way. She gets full really quick. She's not super physically active. She eats probably half the meal size I do on keto. And she's lost a ton of weight. She's feeling great. She's, other than the pain issues, because she had the degenerative disc problems. But as far as the diabetes is under control and her weight's down, and, she's getting some of her friends in on it. She's got some friends that have lost 50, 60 pounds now, and that have also cured their diabetes. So, these are all things that he's not really taking into account. He's got this really touchy-feely attitude about health that doesn't take into account all the fucking sick motherfuckers that are out here. You don't have to look far. I can walk out right now and point out 5 people I know are suffering and have huge medical costs, or probably on some kind of prescription pills, and are suffering either through mental health and physical health, often both. And a lot of it can be attributed to the foods they're eating. That's when you're talking about health, that's who you're talking to. You're not talking to other healthy people. You're talking to people that have been fucked up their whole life by their diet and nutrition. So there's a little bit of responsibility in that. And I don't know, other than the colitis and the problems that he's had intestinally, physically, he probably would not have changed his diet if not for those issues. Would he have done this health journey if he didn't have the digestive problems he had? A lot of people wait until you hit the wall of health before they do something about it. So, let's see here. Okay, I read that. Vitamin C, salt, and potassium. Yes, electrolytes are important, and that normalizes too. I haven't had a cramp in a very long time, by the way. Ever since I reduced my plant intake, my cramps went away. No calf cramps, none of that. And I don't do anything special. I salt and season my foods. I take my magnesium Epsom salt baths. That's just a habit I have. It's cheap. You fill the tub with some of the Epsom salt and you soak in it for a while and you'll absorb magnesium through your skin. I find that's the best way to get magnesium as far as I'm concerned. I don't have electrolyte problems. I don't have hydration problems. I shit just fine. It's not an issue. I don't take in tons of fiber though, but I'll occasionally have a salad because it's keto, I just know not to do it every day anymore. I know not to have bowls and bowls of fucking salad, It's not healthy for me. Might be healthy for someone else. It's just not, it doesn't work for me. I know it leads to problems for me because I did experience minor depression on keto, sometimes major depression on keto. Whereas the more carnivore I got, the less that was an issue. And that's why I've shifted a lot of these plants out of my life, because that was the last thing to eliminate, other than the alcohol, that allowed my mental health to improve. And trust me, no matter how fucking good the cookie is, no matter how good the fucking cheesecake is, I do not want to go back to eating that way, because I don't want to risk going back to being depressed. Thanks for the diamond, no sugar life, and thanks for the ice cream, Heiser Heinz. The sad part is the message people on the standard American diet is that A, they can continue the sugar, and B, they shouldn't cut it out. Well, they did add the guy, at least in the World Health Organizations, they did add the recommended daily amount of sugar. And the food industry has caught on. You're starting to see a lot more low sugar options out there because they've figured out that you can get a fairly sweet product if you replace sugar with erythritol. So they mix a smaller amount of sugar. And you see this in Halo Top, and even there's a keto ice cream now, which I didn't like as much as Halo Top. It was weird, the keto ice cream. But they take a lot of the sugar out and they put erythritol in instead, and sometimes stevia in erythritol. And so they figured out, the food industry's figured out how to lower the sugar. And they market it more as a diet, low calorie thing, but still essentially for us ketos, it's a processed food that we can have which isn't healthy but isn't going to kick us out of ketosis. So the food industry knows. They're starting to work on it. You're starting to see more processed foods for keto. It's a double-edged sword. While I'm happy that these foods are going out to the market because it does make being keto easier if you don't have to bake to have your own desserts and do all of these other things to make you feel like you're having a full diet. But at the same time, they're putting things in these processed foods that are not beneficial, that could cause health issues, that could cause problems. But at the same time, I'd rather see the food industry move in that direction, you know, and give us more processed foods. So that's my thoughts on that. I mean, the message they are getting from what VP is saying, well, yeah, that's pretty much the message that he's putting out. Sugar's fine. He even says it in the video.
You're burning your body from within. Carbohydrates are so essential if you want to live a long...
And No Sugar Life, to be fair, he said he's demonizing low carb. He demonized the vegan diet. He demonized any diet he's not on. He's going to demonize and prop up what he's currently doing, which is why he's accused of flip-flopping so much. And it hasn't hurt him doing that. I mean, people, like I said, he's got people from both sides watching. It's just he's going to get it ratioed a little more. That's
longest lived people on Earth are plant-based. They eat fish, they eat meat, they eat their pork, whatever they got locally. They're trying to survive.
Have you witnessed all of what the longest lived people in the world? I think you'll find that there's a lot of meat in that diet. Now, while they may not necessarily be keto, but I think you'll find that the longest lived people in the world eat a lot of meat and fat and a rather moderate to low amount of plants and very little grain. You know, that's my observations from the places I've visited. But the problem is most places are now polluted with the standard American diet. So even though they may have these, and I always hear this, it's a vegan talking point to no end that, oh, well, it's got all these long-lived, there's been long-lived carnivores, there's been long-lived ketos, there's been long-lived fucking standard American dieters. There's been fucking motherfuckers that drink and smoke and live to be 120. Life expectancy isn't the only thing to worry about. Quality of life is important. What he's not telling you is those long-lived motherfuckers are suffering horrible, debilitating diseases. Some of them have lost their fucking marbles. And just genetics is probably the only thing contributing to their longevity at that point. You'll see them. I've seen fucking 110-year-old fucking smoking, drinking, and doing all this fucked up shit. Won the genetic lottery there. That doesn't mean what he's doing is what I need to do. Because if I did what he is doing, I'd have a lot of problems. That's what you got to take into account. In the end, the best way to figure out the best diet is to experiment and figure out what you feel the best on, what fixes your health issues. And you got to understand that that's a little different based on a whole variety of factors. Genetics, how you ate throughout your life, how much damage has been done to your system, your body, your organs. This will affect your tolerance of certain foods that in non-moderation are going to cause you a lot of problems. So, thanks for the diamond, No Sugar Life, and thanks for the ice cream Heiserhans. I don't know if I thanked y'all for those. You know, you can't just say this is the way to eat for everyone. Everyone needs to experiment and come to their own conclusions. But what I would say is people need to acknowledge when they're wrong, which is a rare quality to find nowadays. If you try something and it's not working, don't sit here and pep talk yourself, which I believe is his problem, into that, oh, it's great, I feel great. You'll start ignoring symptoms. You'll start rationalizing shit just because you don't want to be wrong, especially if you're telling people to do this on a YouTube channel. You got to tell them when things aren't going well, and he's been all right with some of that. He does acknowledge he fucks up every now and then. He acknowledges he's not an expert. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Take what I say with a grain of salt. In the end, educate yourself on these things. I can't do that. I can just tell you the things that I've done that have worked for me, the things that I've learned from, the experiences I've had, positive and negative. And then you can use that along with a lot of other data that you could take in on this. But in the end, you're never going to know unless you try it. And I always hate those fucking keyboard warrior motherfuckers that come in and they talk shit about keto and they've never done it long term themselves, as in they've never gone the 6 to 8 weeks without a cheat, and they can't give you a first-hand account. And then they often accuse keto of causing long-term damage with no cases of it shown. All they fall back on is that weak epidemiology, fucking corrupt science bullshit. They don't know somebody that's fucked up like that. They don't know somebody that's in the hospital because of keto. And I look for this shit. I'm out there looking for the one guy that's saying, keto almost sent me to the fucking grave. And there have been a few videos over the years. And then that same person 6 months later comes back and makes a, oh, I was wrong video. You know, you got to understand, you've fucked your body up your whole life. Just because you go keto and shit goes wrong doesn't mean that it was keto that caused it. You might have fucked yourself up over the 30 years you ate like shit, and then you go keto, and then all of a sudden you fucking have your grabber finally. Oh, well, fuck. That was keto, right? No. You already did some damage. It takes time to heal. You fucked yourself up for 30 years. It's a little naive to think that you're going to go keto for 8 fucking weeks and fix everything. It's not going to happen that way. But if you make the lifestyle change and you last multiple years, over time, you're going to see your weight get better. You're going to see improvements in your health and your labs. You're not going to be on as many medications. You're not going to hit the health wall as hard as you would have had you ate that way. And make no mistake, had I not gone keto 4 years ago, I would be 300 plus pounds right now. I would probably be put on statins, or recommended to be put on statins, because my blood pressure was creeping up. I would have full-blown diabetes at this point. I nipped that right in the bud when I was pre-diabetic. When I started to see pre-diabetic symptoms, I probably saved myself from ever getting full-blown diabetes, because my pancreas has had time not only to heal, but hopefully I didn't kill off or overexert my beta cells, which would not allow me to produce enough insulin to control my blood sugar, which would have led to diabetes, along with insulin resistance and fatty liver disease. So how did I make those changes? I'd be a lot different person. You've seen how fat I was, right? I mean, if you haven't, we can go look right now. Let's take a look at my videos real quick. I'm going to show you, if in case you happen to be watching, maybe you're new here or you don't know shit about me. Like if I go to my earliest, which I'm hoping I can do, look how fat I was. All right? That's how big I was getting. That was me at my heaviest. This is this video. I was trucking. I was miserable. I was a piece of shit. I was unhealthy as fuck. My blood pressure was creeping up. I was borderline. They were testing me for diabetes because I pissed sugar. Almost failed. So this is where I was. Had I not made the changes, this would have gotten worse for me. So, what's up, Mojin? Let's see. Stopping by to say hi. Hello, Mel C. Good to see you. Welcome and shit. So let's we'll do a few more minutes, but I think I've pretty much thoroughly trounced everything he said.
That's why they eat the animals. It's like, this helps us through the winter. So let them do it. It's not necessarily because it's optimal, but yeah, some animal products here and there, but most of it's plants.
My beard can withstand any sneeze there. Hunching my traces.
Stuff they grow, they save it for the winter. It's like carbohydrates all year round, sweet potatoes, longevity food, fruits and vegetables praised throughout the nations.
For the record, we only practice that shit in modern agriculture, which is 10,000 years old. Just saying, we didn't preserve our carbohydrates as hunter-gatherers. I mean, we did ferment a little bit. We did some things as tribes that hold on to some food as long as we can. But generally, when you're a hunter-gatherer, you eat whatever the fuck you can when you get it. And it's a struggle because you're always trying to balance how much energy you spend finding, gathering, processing, or killing your food. And hunter-gatherers they don't care about being vegan. They don't care about anything. If they can eat it and get calories out of it, they fucking eat it. But turns out nature only made certain foods available at certain times of the year, even in the tropics, for a reason. If you work with nature, if you were to be dropped in the fucking jungle or the woods, depending on your DNA or where your biology hails from, if you were to be dropped in your natural environment, the environment your heritage is from, in the middle of the woods with, some primitive fucking hunting and gathering tools, that is how you should eat. Because that is what your genetics are designed for. Your genetics are not designed for fucking Walmart. They're not designed for the grocery store. They're not designed for the gas station. They're not designed for the food court in the mall. And just because we've exploded this technology, here's what happens when you do something that we're not genetically designed to do. In order to adapt to this new way of eating, this new logistical food, the way things are now, in order to adapt, a bunch of us are going to have to die off. We're going to get sick, we're going to die off, and we're going to be passing this genetic information on over and over again. But a lot of us aren't going to fucking live very long. Not as long as we should. But some will. And then those some will pass their genetic information onto their children, onto their offspring, and eventually we will evolve to live off of this fucked up diet, assuming we don't transform it again in some weird way, and there will be humans that are genetically more tolerant to the standard American diet. I have no doubt there's probably already some unicorns floating around out there that can eat that way, that never hit the health wall, that live long, productive lives. We've seen them. We've seen the centenarians that are out there smoking and drinking and doing all kinds of shit. You're probably not one of them if you're watching this. 9 times out of 10, it's going to go the other way for you, where you're going to be in full-blown fucking health crisis by your 50s if you're eating the standard American diet. So, that's my thoughts. I don't think I need to go any further. There are some other points he makes in this that I could probably drone on about for hours, but I need to move the podcast along. So feel free to finish this video and let him know what you think in the comments. Tell him that I was talking shit. Maybe he'll watch my video response when it's on YouTube, which will be probably next week. I don't know, because I got 2 videos. I think I got 2 videos in the queue. There's that one video. I got the Jillian Michaels video that we did the stream on before. I'll be up probably by the end of the day today. And then this one probably will be up this weekend to meet my 3 video that was sponsored on YouTube requirement. So check out his channel if you're unaware. It's fun to watch, but I wouldn't take his advice. That's my personal opinion, though. It's up to you, though. It's really up to you who you want to follow and believe and how you want to eat. Mojin Beardman, what up? Your beard is definitely better now. You don't think I should trim it? I think it's due for a trim. It looks especially Sid Hagee right now. Just saying. Narrow path. I have a Class A CDL also, so it's no joke to keep it health wise. Yeah, I hear you. Being healthy on the road is definitely difficult. It requires a special level of attention if you're a truck driver or even if you're car camping, as I discovered during my journey. It's not as easy to fucking whip out the propane thing and cook. It's just not as straightforward as when you have a stove to fucking cook shit on and a supermarket nearby at all times. But I think it's doable. It's just it requires a more difficult level of energy. I mean, you got to have a cooler, you got to have refrigeration of some kind in your truck, you got to have a way of cooking and a way of cleaning, which is the biggest obstacle, by the way. Like when you're a truck driver, you don't have a lot of access to being able to do dishes every day. You know, unless you carry around a water tank and then you get outside the truck and, you know, that's the thing. Then people are staring at you while you're washing your pots and pans in the fucking parking lot. You know, it's a thing. But like I said, it's hard to do that out there. Mr. Humpty, breaking a 4-day fast today. Do you recommend anything special doing carnivore? I would start off with maybe some heavy cream in your coffee or some fat, and then maybe ground beef. I've broken fasts that way and been just fine. I've never had an issue as a ketovore breaking a longer fast. Bone broth would also get you fired up a bit too. Like you could lead with bone broth and then maybe work your way into some more solid stuff. But yeah, you could just bring some fat and maybe a little bit of protein into the mix and see how that goes. But to be honest, a 4-day fast, you're not really fucked up. You know, when you start to get to the 21-day fasts and you're breaking a fast, that's when you need to worry about your refeed. But what I do know for certain is never, ever, ever, ever have a high carb refeed. You know, I see dumbasses in the fasting community say that all the time. Look, when you do a long fast, you're fat adapted at that point. You're forcing yourself to be in ketosis. And if you immediately, and they've had people die this way or come close to death. You know, I think there was a case I saw on YouTube of a lady that got admitted to the hospital because she hadn't had anything to eat for like 20 plus days, and then somebody gave her a thing full of cookies, and she ate all of them, and ended up having refeed syndrome, which is a thing. 4-day fast, you're not going to have refeed syndrome. I find it highly unlikely, but still doesn't hurt to take the precautions. I think if you're eating high fat, low carb as your refeed and you're taking it, you know, being delicate if you've done a long fast. But like I said, 4 days, you're not going to have a problem with it. Now, 21 days, you want to pay attention to how you break the fast. Anything longer than probably 10 days, I would say it's a concern as far as fasting goes. All right. I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just a fucking asshole. Please like and subscribe for more shit. And I'll make more shit. If you like this video and you found it enlightening and you want me to make more shit, you can head to ScottTheTruckDriver.com and leave a tip in the virtual tip jar, in which case, for every $20 received, I will fund one video per $20, up to 4 videos per week. Cutoffs are on Sunday. Any more than that's a tip. And right now we got 0 videos funded next week, so might be a nice little Uber week for me, along with streaming, of course. And TikTok, because I'm on there now. So follow me on TikTok if you want to see some more short form fucking around. But I'm just going to talk about whatever on there. It's social media. I'm going to treat it like social media. So if you want some of that from me, that'll be on TikTok. Follow me on there and shit. And have a nice motherfucking day and shit.